Hey, we're back. Okay, so number two. Sorry, somebody walked in and scared me. Okay, number two. First, we have to change these mixed fractions to improper fractions. And the way we do that is that Texas hoopla that I keep saying. And for Texas, we draw a T on the top and an X on the bottom. T stands for add, like plus, and X stands for multiply. And it also looks like TX, Texas. Okay, so let's see here. We do 5 times 18, and then we add the 4. So that X means multiply. So we say 5 times 18. Then we plus whatever's on top, the 4. And this gives me 94, and you keep that same denominator 5. Okay, now let's try and fix 8 and 5/8. And notice that there's a minus sign, but don't use that minus for the Texas. So for Texas, you just use the regular old numbers. You don't use symbols like negatives. Okay, so for Texas, for this sucker, we're gonna do the X first, which means multiply. 8 times 8 is 64, plus that 5 on top is 69 over 8. Okay, so that was the first step. We had to do Texas. Now, instead of these two fractions with a minus sign in between, we're gonna have these two red fractions with a minus sign in between. Okay, so I turned the first fraction into this 94 over 5. Then I rewrote the minus. Then I turned that second fraction into 69 over 8. Okay, now we need to come up with the LCD or the LCM. And remember, the LCD and the LCM is practically the same thing. You look at the bottoms, 5 and 8, and you come up with their multiplication facts. 5, 10, 15, 20, you get the point. Then you look at the other denominator and come up with his multiplication facts. So the other denominator has an 8 on it. Well, the multiplication facts of 8 are 8, 16, 24, 36. Nope, that's wrong. 32, 40. There we go. Okay, so I wrote out all the multiplication facts of the bottoms, and then whatever is the smallest number in common between both lists, and this time it was 40, that's going to become your LCD. That means we need to get a 40 on the denominator. So let's see here, this 5, how can it become a 40 on the bottom? 5 on the bottom times what on the bottom gives you 40 on the bottom? Well, 5 times 8. And what we do to the bottom, we have to do to the top. Okay, now let's look at this right side. I have an 8 on the bottom. How do I get to that 40 that we need? You multiply by 5. And what you do to the top, you have to do to the bottom. Okay, then when we multiply, you just do 94 times 8. And we get 752 over 40, because the bottom is 5 times 8, and that's 40. Then the top right, 69 times 5, that's 345, all over that 40. And then now, finally, the bottoms are the same, so we're gonna keep that same bottom, and then the tops, we're actually gonna minus that. So if we minus those, we get 407. And if you look at your answer choices, A is close, but it's upside down. D is not even what we have, so that's definitely wrong. And then these other suckers, we don't know. We might have to do some witchcraft. Okay, so we added them up, but if you look at the majority of those answers, once we crossed out the boo-boo ones, they're mixed numbers. So let's turn this into a mixed number. We say, okay, well, 40 goes into 407 how many times? Well, it goes in once to get that exact 40. We subtract down. You bring down the 7, because 40 minus 40 goes away. You bring down the 7. 40 goes into 7 0 times. So the mixed number is the big fat 10 from the top of the division, and then a little fraction with the remainder 7 on top of what we divided by. We divided by 40. And then if we could reduce, we reduce from there. But I don't think you can. So it's just this C. Okay, so again, first we had to do Texas. Then we had to do an LCD. Then we had to divide it out to come up with a mixed fraction. Okay, let's look at number 3. Number 3, we're adding fractions. Well, first ask yourself, do we have to do Texas? Nope, because we don't have mixed numbers like we did on number 2. So we just need to go to the next step where we find our LCD or our LCM. Okay, well, let's think about this. If I look at my first denominator, 3, and think of all of his multiplication facts, then I look at my second denominator, 5, and I come up with all of his, multiplication facts. The question is, what's the first number that's going to be written in common? Is it the 5? Nope. The 6? Nope. 9, 12? Nope. Oh, 15. Hey! So our LCD is 15. Okay, now let's see how we get that 15. So we need the bottom to become 15s. So on the left, what times this 3 gives you 15? 5. And you have to do it to the top and the bottom. On this right-hand denominator, that 5 times what gives you 15? 5 times 3. And you have to do it to the top and the bottom. Okay, then we actually multiply it, and we get 5 times 2 is 10, over 5 times 3 is 15, plus sign, 4 times 3, 12, over 5 times 3, 15. Okay, then this turns into number 1, where you add the tops and you keep the bottoms the same. So we get 22 on the top, 15 on the bottom. Where did we get those? We added the 10 and the 12, and we kept the 15 on the bottom. Yay! And then that should not reduce because 20 is even and 15 is not. And it looks like the answer is an improper fraction. Woohoo! All right, let's keep going. Number 4, it says find the product. Okay, this is kind of lame. We've been doing this accidentally on the last 3 problems already. 3 times 7 is 21. 4 times 12 is 48. And then you try and reduce. And I think you can divide these by 3. So let's see here. The top divided by 3 is 7. The 48 divided by 3, 16. Hey, exciting. And that's what the answer is. Okay, let's go to number 5. Find the product. So we multiply left to right. And we get 17 over, I think, 36. And then you cannot reduce it because 17 is prime. Okay, let's look at number 6. When we multiply this, we have to decide where that negative is going to go. That negative is either going to go on the top with the 3 or on the bottom with the 2. It does not go to the top and the bottom. Okay, so I think I'm just going to maybe use this first sucker of negative 3 over 2 times 7 over 6. Okay, now that we put the negative on the top instead of out to the side, it's easier to see. Okay, let's multiply. Negative 3 times 7, negative 21. On the bottom, 2 times 6, 12. Okay, now let's reduce. I think you can reduce by 3. So you get negative 7 over 4. And heck fire, that's what they asked us for.